Now, to finish you off with my super acidic pork lard. Unstoppable lizard!
All right, my friends, may I ask for one final thing? Episode 10. I can't believe that at this point we have only 3 episodes left. This is a 13 episode season. But I had some kind of episode 10 I thought was okay. It was alright. You know what I mean? Like, I thought this episode, you know, obviously the Masochist Prince 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸𝐿, I think is his name. He came back. I do think he is one of the top tier characters of this show. You know, the Masochist Prince who wants Scarlet for himself. I like that he returned this week, and I like that he got beat up again. I thought that was pretty funny. I didn't laugh, but I did think it was funny. And it did introduce the Diana's half brother or whatever. It kind of gave him a little bit of redemption because of the war, the battle that's breaking out and stuff. So there are some good things that definitely happen this episode. Some of the confusing bits though is last week we kind of I feel like we kind of had the setup. It was all focused on Diana, and I told you I really didn't care about her. So last week I wasn't too hot on last week's episode, and I still feel the same. But then this week we had a total tonal shift because I felt like I think it was the beginning of last week's episode, they kind of reset us back up with Terranezia and the stuff that she's doing with the whatever church she's leading. And it showed us that Nanaka, I think is his name, the wolf boy, fox boy name guy, whatever. It showed him being like captured by Terranezia's group. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just misremembering. But suddenly, this episode, he's just back next to Scarlet's side, like nothing ever happened, and that threw me off. I was like really confused by that. I was like, maybe I'm misremembering, and frankly, I'm too lazy to go back and look. But that kind of caught me for a loop. You know, I definitely want to be genuine to where my head was at and where my head process is at. Is that I thought he got all caught up, and this week he's just there next to Scarlet during their big meeting and stuff. So anyways, the prince gets reintroduced. They basically sign a treaty with Julius and the country, you know, and the Dragon Riders to kind of go ahead and work together. Scarlet leads the charge against some, like, I don't know, weird ogre people. They get in a fight. She punches a pig in the belly and stuff, and that's a whole entire fight, which takes up about 5 minutes. She gets fawned over by the prince's vanguard. And then the Diana's half brother and what's his name, Nanaka, end up infiltrating whatever, and now Scarlet's going to come back into the scene. Obviously, I missed, you know, maybe like a couple of key details, but that's really all that happened this week. And really, the only funny moment to me was just Prince 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸𝐿 getting his ass kicked in the middle of the meeting, because Scarlet just kind of readied herself, and she's like, "All right, I'm gonna pop, 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 pop." And I thought that was pretty funny. But everything else, the banter with the Piggy guys and her little monologue there was whatever. Diana was MIA this week pretty much for the most part. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else happened this episode. Like, really, this was a pretty boring episode, I have to admit. It was all just like meetings and focus around that. And they had the dragon folks. This was just a big council of the meeting, right? This episode was just really focused on the pork stuff, or on the pig stuff, with Prince 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸𝐿 and his people, and them, you know, kind of fighting together and stuff. And yeah, that took up the majority of the episode. Everything else was just kind of them speaking to each other about, you know, kind of their next plans, and I guess wrapping up the Diana fallout from last week with everything that was happening. So yeah. Not a whole lot happened this episode. So I think, you know, for an episode that's so close to the end, I guess it just really depends on how much you like the Prince 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸𝐿, how much you like the council, and then how entertained were you when they fought, you know, the orcs, that's what does there. When they fought the orc pig people, you know, how entertained were you during that fight and stuff? Because that took up about, 10 minutes, which is about half the episode. So, I mean, if you really liked it, I can definitely understand that you jived with it. For me, I think this was a 6 out of 10 episode. I don't think it was anything special. I didn't laugh really, except for, like I said, that one funny moment, which I still didn't laugh, but I want to acknowledge that it was funny. And I guess probably the main thing about the show is that it's dubbed, so it's an easy watch. You know, I watched this episode sub, so yeah, take that for what it is. So I don't know. I feel weird about the show. It's fine. You know, it's fine. It's gonna be one of those shows that I think we all end up finishing, and you see it later. You see a clip, you're like, oh, I did watch that. I think it's gonna end up being one of those shows. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for sticking with me as I kind of rambled through my thoughts this week. But yeah, nothing special, nothing to really see here. We have next week with episode 11, and hopefully Terranezia comes back in as we culminate to the final showdown between her and Scarlet, I guess. So yeah. All right, friends. Have a good rest of your weekend, whenever you're watching this, and peace out.